Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 30th part of What If Deku Was Sanji's Reincarnation, my Heroes Reborn. The author of this great fanfic is Ivily. Links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 30, Time for Finals. It was homeroom and Aizawa was talking about summer vacation which was coming soon. Summer vacation is coming, but that doesn't mean you relax for the entire month, said Aizawa. Everyone started to freak out. You'll be training while camping in the woods, said Aizawa. The entire class began to cheer. However, all of you who don't pass the final exams will have summer school, said Aizawa. Even with that threat, everyone was still excited about the camp. That afternoon, however, it was another therapy session. Considering the painful memories brought up by the meeting with Luna, Izuku decided to confess about how corrupt the world government. He didn't tell them everything, but he did tell them about everything they did to Vivi, someone that the crew cared about deeply, and Robin, namely how they destroyed her island to keep the skeletons in their closet from coming out. To say everyone was surprised would be an understatement. What the? Said Hibiki, struggling to find words. Jesus! Yelled Aiko for him. Both Hachiko and Momo were surprised as well. Okay. I'm sure most of us have dealt with government corruption on some level in our past lives, said Hibiki. Hachiko and Momo both nodded. I didn't really deal with the government in my past life, admitted Mashareo. I think other countries were corrupt but not Equestria, said Toru. My point is, seriously, that is messed up and not even Nazis controlling an international spy agency can beat that, said Hibiki. Is it just me, or is there more? Asked Aiko. There's more, but I don't think I want to get into that right now, sighed Izuku. And I can't blame you, because, damn it, going after a little girl because she knows a dead language is just messed up, said Hibiki. If you don't want to go into it, then it must be worse than that. Yeah, sighed Izuku. Anyways, I figure it would be a good time to bring up summer vacation, said Hibiki, because there's a couple things I have in mind during summer vacation that I want to do with you guys. What do you mean? Asked Hachiko. He began to tell them about what he had in mind. However, both those things will be revealed in due time. A few days later, Aizawa reminded them all about the finals once homeroom was over, which started to get to Mina and Kaminari due to getting the two worst scores in the midterms. It's not that bad, said Izuku. I'm sure you'll do fine. Both of them glared at Izuku, who had gotten 4th place in midterms. Look, you lived another life. It's not fair, yelled Kaminari. But high school didn't exist in my old world, said Izuku with a sweat drop. There's only one subject I got better in because of regaining my past life memories. He was referring to English. Everyone in class learned thanks to midterms due to the fact that he finished the test in less than 5 minutes. Okay, so a pirate not going to high school makes sense, said Mina with a sweat drop. But come on, what about the rest of you? Yelled Kaminari. High school didn't exist in my old world either, said Toru, Hachiko, and Momo. High school did exist in my old world, but I stopped going to school after middle school, said Mashareo. Because you kept getting lost, said Mina and Kaminari at the same time. Mashareo sighed when they said that. Don't worry, on days I don't have therapy I'm sure I can help you, said Momo. Of course, other students were worried about the tests, which included Mashareo in this case. All needed a little help and she was happy to have a study group. As she talked about her house, those who were interested looked at Mashareo, who had been to her mansion. It's really that big, he said. But still, she had set up a study group for finals, which did make her very happy. However, during lunch, Izuku was worried. I'm worried about the practical exam, sighed Izuku as he lunched with his usual friends plus Todoroki and Tsuyu, who joined them this time. Is it because of that? Asked Ida, knowing it was better not to mention it in front of Tsuyu. No, I'm not worried about the blocks, said Izuku, who realized it was probably better to talk about with his classmates who might want to help. Translation: anyone but Bakugo. Blocks? Asked Tsuyu. I'm having problems where I forget something during a fight. Admitted Izuku, it could be something important or it could be something that would be completely useless in the fight. That stinks, said Tsuyu. I know, sighed Izuku, but it's not what I'm worried about, I'm more worried about what it is. We don't know what it will be. It will be fine, said Ochako, blushing quite a bit and fiddledine with her fingers. I mean, you're really strong. You should do just fine. Everyone at the table stared at her. What? She asked, returning to normal. You just had a personality shift, said Izuku, surprised. Oh. I didn't notice, said Ochako. Are you okay? Asked Izuku. I mean, you really haven't had them before. I'm sure it's fine, said Ochako. But, you get them all the time though, Ribbit, said Tsuyu. But that's because, well, said Izuku. However, that was when something slammed their arm into Izuku's head. Oh, so sorry, he said snidely, it's just that your head is so big I must have bumped into you. Izuku turned and saw it Monoma and immediately went into Sanji mode. So what do you want? Asked Izuku, glaring at him. Oh. I heard you had something of a split personality, it's interesting to see it in action, said Monoma, not mention you're one of the ones that were attacked by the hero killer. Those that were their day all started glaring at the boy from the other class. You and Wane just can't stand not being the center of attention, said Monoma. We'd rather not keep getting attacked by villains, muttered Izuku. Everyone at the table joined in the glaring. Is that so? Here's some food for thought, maybe we'll all get caught up in your mess and we'll all be victims as well, mocked Monoma, that one day the rest of us. That was when suddenly he was knocked out by Itsuka. That's not nice. You know what happened to Ida, and from what I heard about that quirk, what happened to them wasn't pretty, said Itsuka as she grabbed his tray and put it down on a nearby table. Izuku didn't enter love mode due to how terrifying she was, as it was clear she knocked him out with one chop. Oh, I overheard you were saying that you were worried about the exam. Don't worry about it. An upperclassman I'm friends with told me it's fighting robots like the entrance exam, said Itsuka, so I wouldn't worry about it. Just can't be that, said Izuku, who entered a muttering spree. Is he okay? Asked Itsuka. Yeah. He does this, said Toru. Why did you tell them? You took away out advantage at finally beating them. You idiot, said Monoma as he regained consciousness. You're the idiot, said Itsuka, chopping him again then dragging him away. Toru stared, giggling like crazy. What is it? Asked Ochako. Class 1B has a red head hitting sense into the idiots, said Toru. Ochako started laughing, even Mashireo couldn't help but to smile. Both Momo and Izuku sighed. What? Asked Ida. It's some weird coincidence from our past lives, said Momo and Izuku at the same time. However, they did tell the rest of the class the news. Mina and Kaminari were excited at the news, as they were excited for the news as the two could let loose. Bakugo looked like he wanted to say something, but muttered something under his breath and left the classroom for the day. However, the behavior didn't go unnoticed by Aizawa. And as the days went by, they studied and also did the written exams. And soon enough it was time for the practical exams. However, things were clearly not the way they were going to go. It was clear when they were gathered for the practical exams, all of the teachers had gathered by that. I'm going to guess you might have gotten word about what the sort of thing you thought you would be facing today, said Aizawa. Kaminari and Mina both cheered about the robots and how they were going to camp. Actually, this year's tests will be completely different for various reasons, cheered Nizu as he popped out of Aizawa's scarf. Principal Nizu? asked several students. How long were you hiding in there? Asked Momo with a sweat drop. There will be hero work of course, but also teamwork and combat against actual people. Said Nizu, so what does that mean for you? You students will be working in pairs. And your opponents will be one-out esteemed UA teachers. Isn't that fabulous? The students were in shock. Additionally, your teammates and opponents at my discretion via various methods such as fighting style, grades, and personal relationships. However, I should note that there was one change I made due to someone having veto power over me for certain students. Said Aizawa. What does he mean by that? Thought Izuku, getting a weird feeling. Aizawa began to list off the students that were paired together. The first pair were Momo and Todoroki Agent himself. Next is Midoriya and Bakugo. Said Aizawa. What the hell? Yelled Izuku. Bakugo was just shocked. Hell, a good chunk of the class seemed to be against it and started glaring at the blonde. And your opponent is? Sighed Aizawa. It took a few seconds but their opponent appeared. Hey! Said Hibiki, I don't know if Bakugo knows me but I'm Orchestra Rave. I work here at the school as a special counselor. Don't worry, I am going to be completely impartial. Which means I won't go easy on one of you and I won't shove the Barney song up the butt of the other. Okay. That's enough of that. Muttered Aizawa. Hey, you're the one being spiteful about this. I'm just being honest. Said Hibiki, so if you were hoping for someone else, blame David Lynch. Aizawa glared at him. What? Said Izuku. Flashback. It was a factuality meeting about the test. Nizu was explaining the reasons why they were changing the tests, thanks to the hero killer stain and how popular he got. Hibiki was led into the meeting due to the fact that Nizu decided he should have veto power in case he finds something wrong with Aizawa's choices. After discussing whether or not should be doing a test like that and reasons, Aizawa began explain his choices for pairings. The first was Todoroki and Momo. However, Hibiki didn't veto it, but gave his thoughts. Are you sure that's a good idea? Momo does fight quirk less? And if given the proper prep time she might be able to get the jump on you. Said Hibiki. So are you vetoing it? Asked Aizawa. No. I'm just warning you just in case. Said Hibiki. Next up, Midoriya and Bakugo. I'm leaving them up to you, All Might. Said Aizawa. All Might was shocked by this. No. Veto. Said Hibiki. Is it because of the bullying? Asked Aizawa. It's the bullying combined with something in his past life. Said Hibiki, you have to either switch out the teacher or the partner, one or the other but not both. Right now Izuku's three main problems are his relationship with Bakugo, his mental blocks and his inability to hit women. The last of which can really be handled anytime, and we just have to check if his training helped with it, he just needs to test it out. Hibiki took a breath. If he teams up with Bakugo, and if Bakugo is willing to admit he's done wrong, then it will help his relationship and it might heal, but that's the key word, if he's willing. I don't pay attention to the guy so I have no idea. Said Hibiki. And combined with calling him names while he might have overheard isn't really helping things. Brought up Aiko. Thank you, Aiko. Anyway, going up against All Might would push him to the extent that he might be able to break the mental blocks, but doing both at the same time, chances are he'll just run away and let All Might beat him up. He'd be remorseful about it, but considering everything's he gone through, I wouldn't put it past him. What has he gone through? Asked 13. Not my place to tell you. Said Hibiki. He's right. Agreed All Might, remembering how Izuku was after the sports festival after he had thoroughly beaten Bakugo. Do you have any recommendations then? Asked Aizawa. Not the other four members of the group for sure. It can't be too easy. Said Hibiki, if they team up they might make a plan to take All Might down. Speaking of which, are any of the other three teamed up with the other, because I'm going to have veto it at the same time for being too easy.
No, said Aizawa. Okay. I'm on the fence about Ida and Todoroki, but anyone else in class is fine, said Hibiki.
And teachers?
Asked Aizawa.
Anyone but Midnight. Like I said, his thing with women is the third on the list after the block and Bakugo, but I wouldn't recommend testing both Bakugo and the women thing at the same.
It would be a recipe for disaster and not the same way as All Might. Said Aiko, I don't know what it would be like, but I don't think it would end well. I see. Said Aizawa, then you'll be the teacher.
What?
Said Hibiki.
The reason why I chose All Might is because he has a soft spot for Midoriya.
And it's the same principle for you, said Aizawa. He has a point. Said Aiko, you're close to all of the kids.
Izuku needed push to get stronger, plus I don't know, maybe make up for calling Bakugo a little shit and bastard while he was in the room. Most of the teachers stared at him. Granted, they just heard that he did that, but know exactly what he said made it even worse. He was unconscious at the time, at least I hope so,
said Hibiki.
Granted, I did come up with a better setup, but it's just my opinion, which sadly doesn't matter.
Said Aiko, so settle for this. Why, what do you have in mind? Said Hibiki. It doesn't matter, so it's not important. Said Aiko, I'm not human, so like I said, my opinion doesn't matter. Hibiki just sighed, while Aiko sighed in relief as he didn't use an otter protocol. I know you don't like it, David Lynch, said Hibiki, glaring at Aizawa, but I have my reasons, just like you have yours.
David Lynch?
Asked Aizawa, confused. Nice one, said President Mike, giving the thumbs up. But I do have a condition,
said Hibiki, a rule that I can add on to ensure that one won't backstab the other in a certain way.
What is it? Asked Nizu. Hibiki told them the rule. I think we can make an exception considering everything, said Nizu. Thank you, said Hibiki. Now, about the next team, said Nizu. End of flashback.
It was decided that each match would be one at a time, due to various reasons. As it turned out, Izuku's test would be last.
With simple rules. You will each have a half hour.
You will pass if you manage to put this handcuffs on your teacher, or one of you managed to reach the exit of the combat stage,
said Nizu. So we have to capture the teacher or run away, said Kaminari. Is it really okay to just jet? Asked Mina. Yes, except in one case, said Nizu. One case? Thought all the student. Due to circumstances about one of the tests, said Nizu. Izuku quickly deduced it was his.
One of our teachers was allowed to change the rules,
said Nizu. Izuku.
Bakugo, in order to pass by running away, you both have to make it through the exit within 30 seconds of each other, or you will fail.
Oh fuck you, Hibiki, yelled Izuku in Sanji mode.
Her immediately slipped out of it, covered his mouth and started blushing.
I'm sorry, he whimpered.
And this is why I had veto power over your choices. It would have been worse with your choice,
Hibiki told Aizawa. Aizawa didn't respond.
This isn't like any of the combat training you had before.
You're up against people much better than you, said President Mike. Aren't you just the school announcer? Asked Kyoka as she and Kota was up against him. Hey! Don't be like that, said President Mike.
Don't think of it like a combat exercise, but as a fight with real villains,
said 13.
There will times where you're in a situation where you must realize whether it will be best to fight or run away,
said Snipe. Midoriya, Ida, Todoroki, Hagakure, Ojiro, you all know what it's like, said Aizawa. None of them answered when he said that. I bet you think that running is the best option, said Hibiki, but you will have an advantage. considering that me running away wouldn't be an option for me," said Izuku with a sweat drop.
"These are special super compressed weights designed to add in half our weight,"
said Hibiki. "It will increase our mass and decrease our stamina as well as hurt some of our abilities." "So you really think we need a handicap?" said Bakugo, blaring harshly at Hibiki. Hibiki looked at Bakugo. "You heard me that day, didn't you?" said Hibiki. Bakugo didn't answer. "Great," said Hibiki. "Told you so," said Aiko. "Kirishima and Sato was first against Cementos. The rest of you will wait your turn.
You can either watch the other matches or strategize with your partner,"
said Aizawa.
The other teachers went inside. Ida and Mashireo were teamed up.
"Ojiro, I would prefer if we strategize," said Ida. "Yeah, I think that makes sense,"
said Mashireo as other teams decided the same thing.
Izuku headed inside. "Wait! Deku!" yelled Bakugo. However, Izuku just ignored him. Bakugo just glared at him. He looked at Toru, who just shrugged. Then he looked at Kota, who had a look on his face that "I don't think I'd be able to help." And Kirishima had already left, so he couldn't get his help. "Damn it!" muttered Bakugo.
In the hallways of the school, Hibiki was talking with Aiko.
"Okay, so which plan do you want to do?" asked Aiko. "The weird distraction plan," said Hibiki, considering that team up with Bar Brawl. "I think it's a good thing to drill into them. Remember, song number 6 is a song that will distract you to keep things fair," said Aiko. That was when he saw that Aizawa was looking at him. "Are you really going to be impartial?" asked Aizawa. "Now you ask?" said Hibiki, considering it was your idea. Aizawa didn't say anything. "You know something, don't you?" asked Hibiki, "and before you say anything about me keeping secrets, I have to. I can't destroy the trust by telling you without permission." "What about All Might?" asked Aizawa. "Yes, I've become friends with him, but what makes you think I was the one who told him?" asked Hibiki. Aizawa didn't say anything and walked away.
What he didn't tell him was that he had noticed Bakugo's goal at trying to be a better person.
And with Izuku wanting nothing to do with him, things were complicated. That will be it for this part.
I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 31.
If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.